Hello and welcome to the Broad Street Hockey Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Gilbert. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Joe DeMarini. Joe, how we doing here on a little Tuesday evening?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I had a moment this morning. I walked out of the house and I saw a trash can lid on the sidewalk. I'm like, hey, that looks like my trash can lid. Lo and behold, it was. I did not realize how windy it was going to be today. For those that don't know, I live on the third floor. So to walk down to the street level and find my trash can lid down there, I was a little bit surprised by
Wait,
that.
where do you keep your what trash can? Not one that was like outside already?
Yeah, it is outside. It's like my outdoor storage bin is on my balcony.
Oh, and it was windy today. I mean, it was cold, windy. At least we didn't get snow, I guess. They got snow a little bit up north.
Yeah. Hey, Gilbs, can you tell me where you can bet on the weather forecast?
I don't know if you can. That's on hold. That's on hold currently, Joe. I don't know what you. We don't have anyone to shout out here.
Oh my god! Sorry, anonymous. How are you doing otherwise, Gil?
No, I'm doing good. But we can shout out ourselves. We're live here on YouTube. I'm going to try to do more of these live podcasts. So make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube. I'm going to try to give at least a few hours notice when we are going live. So not too many hours today, but yeah, appreciate all you guys joining us in the chat. Send us your questions, your super chats. We appreciate all of that. So subscribe there. But don't forget about subscribing to the Broad Street Hockey Podcast feed as well on Apple and Spotify. You can get us everywhere. Listen to us on the podcast, then come watch us on YouTube or vice versa. Do both. You can't get enough Flyers content here. And we had to record today, Joe, because Ule Lixell, what a fantastic Flyer he was. Sent back down to the Phantoms. But no, we don't have to actually start there. Lixell's fine, but big story since we last recorded. Alex Ovechkin has surpassed Wayne Gretzky. He is officially the greatest goal scorer in NHL history with 895 coming on Sunday as the only goal in a loss to the Islanders. I figured he would do it this season. I thought he would do it. He could have had 50 this year if he didn't break his leg.
It's crazy that he's 39 years old and he's still out there playing like this. I was just thrilled that it came against my most loathed team in the entire NHL, and they were the ones that had to stop the game and do the ceremony. I'm sure Lou Lamoriello was just thrilled to be having this happen in the middle of his hockey game. And I was just like, sweet revenge. Fuck the New York Islanders.
Yeah, I think Gretzky also scored his against the Islanders or something, his final goal or his record-breaking goal. And also, it was also 20-some years to the day that they won the lottery to get Ovechkin in that draft. So a lot of numerology there with that. Happy for Ovi. He's always been one of the, you can't really hate him. He finally got his cup. We hate Crosby, we hate the Penguins, but the Capitals have never really been too big of a thorn in our side. And he's just a fun-loving guy. You see him, his celebration, just diving on the ice, like he's like a kid out there. So you like to see that.
He would have 1,000 by now if there wasn't the 04-05 lockout. If there wasn't the lockout,
he wasn't around for that.
He was drafted in. Oh, didn't he miss the first season due to a lockout?
Well,
no.
I don't think so. I think it was the 05 draft. No, it was the 04 draft. So I guess he did miss his rookie year. And then the lockout in 2013 that did half a season. Yeah, then COVID.
COVID.
He could have had 1,000 by now. He really could have.
Hey, he might still next year. Who knows?
Well, apparently, he said that after he plays out this contract, he's going to go back to the KHL. But
he's got 1 year left.
If he gets 40 next year and has 1,000 within reach, I could see him signing a 1 or 2 year deal, especially if the Capitals are as good as they've been this year, or even close to it.
I know that is how you retool a team. Chuck Fletcher, you need to take some notes on that one.
I mean, they did take a lot of chances with everyone was hooking them for the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade. That's been fantastic for them. Jacob Chychrun, everyone was saying he wasn't worth how good as he was, but he's been great for them on their top pair.
Got a big contract for him too. Yeah, $9 million.
They took gambles on a lot of guys. I mean, Dylan Strome's their leading scorer, and he was not nothing, but he was,
let's talk. we closed last week with the Blackhawks and how they overtly tanked, right? Not qualifying Dylan Strome was one of those tank moves, right? Because he was a Blackhawk and they failed to qualify, right?
Is that what happened? It may have been. Yeah, he was with the Blackhawks. Yeah, then I don't know if they didn't qualify him or just didn't really re-sign him, but yeah, he's definitely taken off in Washington.
He was an RFA, wasn't he? So they would have had to just not give him a qualifying offer to let him walk.
Yeah, he was not tendered a qualifying offer. That's correct.
There you go.
That's good knowledge there. Yeah, back in 2022, and that's the type of center the Flyers should be looking for. Someone who, he was a 3rd overall pick in a good draft. Didn't play well in Arizona because who does? Went to Chicago, was decent. 48 points in his final season, but then goes to Washington. 65, 67, 76 points these 3 years. Got an assist on Ovi's record-breaking goal. So making $5 million a year. That's a great contract for them down there in DC.
What a steal, especially with the cap going up. Like, wow.
Yeah, cap going up. I really think the Flyers can take advantage of this offseason and next. Hopefully, get some short-term deals, but that's a conversation for another day. Yeah, Ovi did it. And in another big Russian news today, Ivan Demidov is signing with the Canadiens, coming over early from SKA, going to be joining the Habs for, not sure when he'll get over here, but he'll probably get in a regular season game, and they're pretty close to clinching a playoff spot. They're, I think it's like 85% or more, depending on where you look. So, I mean, watch out now. The Canadiens could take down the Capitals in the first round.
I mean, nobody believed in the Capitals the entire season. I still don't know if I believe in them in the postseason. Like, there's some concerns about how that's going to hold up in the playoffs because they got some really good goaltending for months. But Habs are going to be a handful. I think some of the wild card teams this season are actually going to be a challenge. Like last year, the Islanders got gentlemen swept by, was it the Canes? It was the Canes.
It must have been the Canes. And yeah, the Rangers just got flat out swept. Yeah.
Flat swept 4-0 by the Rangers. So I don't know. Maybe we're going to talk about it after Demidov, but the wild card teams in the East might be a handful. No, it's the Habs fans. They get to have their skilled Russian winger and be, I don't know, annoying about it next year.
Yeah, the Habs fans have cooked up this rivalry with the Flyers and with Michkov, and now we'll see it with Demidov coming over. He had 49 points in 65 games this season with SKA St. Petersburg. He's 19 years old, took 5th overall this past draft. So, yeah, I mean, that's going to be, I mean, Thomas said it in the chat earlier, in the Slack earlier, like, hockey is better when the Canadians are good. Hockey is better when the Canadian teams in general are good, because you just have more coverage of that, and it's not all these Southern teams and the same old.
Oh, I kind of like all the Southern teams just flying in the face of like all the old hockey men being, well, they don't even have the get snow. I'm like, yeah, suck it. They just manage their teams better.
Yeah, all the tax-free states now taking advantage of that too. That's a big thing. But we can just talk about the biggest playoff matchups right now, because speaking of those wild card teams, it looks like the Panthers might be trying to drop into a wild card spot to play the Leafs instead of the Lightning in the first round. They did get Barkov back tonight. I saw Reinhart's going to be out. No, Bennett's going to be out until the playoffs. I think Reinhart's back. Forsling is back, but big game for them tonight against the Leafs. Sens are 2 points behind them. Sens are on fire right now. Like, Ottawa is looking good. We said Montreal is looking good. The worst team right now, I think, is really the Devils in the East.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It looks like, I think we talked about it at the beginning of this season. This might be the year that 2 Atlantic teams take the wild card spots. And it didn't look like that was going to be the case to start the season, but it certainly is the way it's going to end up. The Canes should be able to dog walk the Devils. Just, they have, Jack Hughes is out. Dougie Hamilton may or may not be back. Jonas Siegenthaler isn't even skating. I don't know. I think the Devils are just going to get gentlemen swept in the first round. But who do you want to see more? Do you want to see Leafs Sens or Leafs Panthers or Leafs Habs, Leafs Lightning?
I think I want to see, as it is right now, as we're recording 5 o'clock on Tuesday, Leafs Sens,
Mm-hmm.
Lightning Panthers,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Metropolitans pretty much decided there. But I want to see Toronto, Ottawa. I want to see Tampa, Florida. Let those big boys go at it. Let's see if Ottawa can take their, play against Toronto in the regular season into the playoffs. The Leafs are hot right now. Chief Berube there has them in good standing there going into the playoffs. We know the first round has been their bugaboo in the past here, but so yeah, seeing them go up against the Sens, who are finally making it, they probably feel like they have a pretty good chance going up against Toronto. It's a team that they
Mm-hmm.
know. I feel like that would just come down to Brady Tkachuk, and like also for the Panthers, Matthew Tkachuk. They gave up the rest of the regular season to try to win the Four Nations tournament that ultimately no one's going to remember in 3 years after the Olympics. I don't think really, but
Yeah.
but if Tkachuk comes back, I mean Dylan Cousins is looking good there. Who's Batherson? Is he the defenseman? Batherson, or is it Sanderson? It's Sanderson. Sanderson's the defenseman. He's on fire too. So the Sens are a fun team there, especially with Allmark in net. It's going to be fun, not being in the playoffs and being able to watch these games without, having a heart attack every time there's a turnover.
Yeah, and it sets up for a Battle of Ontario and a Battle of Florida. Like you get two in-state, in-province rivalries, and don't tell the Leafs fans, it sets up a really cool Tkachuk v Tkachuk round too. If things go a certain way,
that would be awesome. Yeah, because Ottawa against Toronto this season, in Toronto 3-0 win, against Toronto 2-1 win, in Toronto 4-2 win. So they swept the season series. They've been good against them for a few seasons now, I think. So that would be really interesting to see.
There's also some bad blood. I don't know if you remember earlier this season when Ridley Greig slapped a snapper shot right into the empty net.
Well, that was last. Was it last season? Or was that?
I think that was this year.
Yeah,
or was it last year?
Whenever it was, yeah. I mean, there's definitely horrible blood there between those two. And I mean, the Leafs are finally winning the division. It looks like, and they're going to get rewarded with either the Senators or the reigning Stanley Cup champions, which is insane for them. Like, I mean, that Atlantic division is really tough.
Last season, February 2024. My bad, but still,
but
that'll be fun.
And some people are talking about like, they should make it 1 through 8 rather than doing the wild card thing. And even if it was 1 through 8, it would be, I guess it would be Leafs, Devils, Caps, Canadians, Canes, Senators. You still have that Battle of Florida though in the middle with the Lightning at 4 and Panthers at 5. But in the West, I mean, we're going to see Stars, we're going to see Avalanche. I saw someone talk about it today. The Stars are the 3rd best team in the league. The Avs are the 6th best team in the league. They're going to be facing off in the first round. One of those teams is going to be guaranteed to go home in the first round.
I don't know, man. The Stars have a game in hand on the Jets. They're in striking distance for first into the Central.
They have a game in hand, 5 points back, and they play each other, I believe, on Thursday. So the Stars look great right now. Like the Stars are aligning there in the Central, Joe.
I was in the flyby the other day, and people were like, "Oh, that Avalanche pick might be higher than we think because they're going to get knocked out in the first round by Dallas." And I'm like, that series hinges on Miro Heiskanen. Like, if he's back and healthy, the Stars should be able to go to the Cup final. Like, they're that good. But if Heiskanen is going to miss the first round, their defense is not great. Thomas Harley's really good. But then the rest is Matt Dumba, Cody Cecchi, Issa Lindell, and is Yanni Hakanpää still there? No, I don't think he is. Let me double check.
I'll pull it up here. No, Bichelle, that like really tall guy. He's like 6'7", Liam Bichelle. Yeah, and Lyubushkin. You forgot about Lyubushkin, Joe. How could you forget about Ilya there?
Ilya Lyubushkin. That's not great. You do not want half of those guys matched up against McKinnon, Makar, Nashis,
they'll go ahead.
Maybe Landeskog.
Landeskog looks like he's coming back. That documentary they're doing looks like it's going to be great there. And for the Stars, Friedman, I heard on 32 Thoughts, I was listening. Apparently, Kaplan or Leah Hextall said during the game that Heiskanen may not be back for the first round, which
Right.
that would be huge for them, for whoever's playing them. But Sagan, I think, should come back at some point.
It's true.
And they're deep. The Avalanche are deep, adding Brock Nelson, Charlie Coyle at the deadline. I mean, Blackwood's been great for them since he came over from San Jose. So there's going to be some great matchups pretty much across the board. There's going to be maybe just one or two, like the Canes Devils should be an easy win for the Canes. I don't really like the Wild's chances unless Kaprizov comes back, which might be possible. But like Kings Oilers,
they're missing Geek too.
Yeah, they've had a ton of injuries there, but Kings Oilers, this could finally be the year the Kings get past Edmonton.
Yeah, and they're within striking distance of the Golden Knights too.
Yeah,
I think if the Kings hold home ice, they've got a shot because I know everybody talks about it. They're 24-4-4 at home. That is not just the best mark in the league. It's approaching one of the best in recent NHL history.
Yeah.
So if you get Edmonton on home ice, also with Draisaitl and McDavid, not injured, but definitely playing through things right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Stuart Skinner is not. Oh, he's injured too, and he also isn't that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Cal Pickard is going to carry you to a Stanley Cup final. So
no,
they could get knocked out round one this year. Very, very possible. And the Blues, I mean, they have a game over the Avs, but they're 5 points back from that third seed. Like the way they finally lost, but the way they've been playing, man.
I mean, that's what the Avalanche maybe should be trying to do to avoid the Stars. But then you get the Knights. As the top wildcard team, because and Vegas is they're always a beast in the playoffs.
Yeah, how are they doing injury wise right now? They're pretty healthy, surprisingly.
I think Hurdle is out, and I think Pietrangelo came back recently, so they're looking pretty good on the injury front. Especially, most importantly for them is defense, I believe. So, looks like Samsonov's day today, but he's the backup. You got Aiden Hill in there, and then Hurdle is wearing a non-contact jersey in practice last week, so he'll probably be back at some point in the playoffs.
Great. I think it's kind of fun when Vegas wins. Every playoff series needs a heel, and they're the ones, I guess. Yeah. At least out west. Who do you think is going to end up in the Eastern Conference Final? What's that matchup going to be?
I think for like we're a week or two. I guess a week too early to talk about this. We could do a little early one. I'm saying Lightning Canes in the East Final. I think the Lightning are really good. Vasilevsky's numbers are right up there with Hellebuck.
Yeah, he's been on fire this season. Hedman's game looks refreshed. Points, Kucherov, and Gensel have been outstanding. And then the second line of Cirelli and Hagel have been...
Hagel's been insane for them.
Outrageous. He doesn't have a power play goal yet this year, I don't think. He's like about to break the record for even strength
I think
scoring.
He did. I think he has 30. I think he has 30 without a power play goal.
Is that the record? I thought the record was like 32.
35 goals now. I don't know what the record is, but he's at 35 goals, no power play goals.
It's just, that's crazy, man. That's absolutely wild. I think the Canes are the favorite from the Metro. I'm going to go with them. I can't count out the Panthers, man. Like
I don't know if you can make. I don't know if you can make a deep run 3 times in a row. I just really don't know that.
The Lightning did it 3 times in a row. They won 2 cups and then went to the final against the Avs.
Yeah, I guess it'll be up to Bob. I don't know if Bob is on the level of Vasi.
No, but playoff Bobrovsky. I know we always joke about how playoff Bob doesn't show up. Past 2 seasons he did. If he does this year, anything's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think there's really a favorite to come out of the Atlantic. Like any of those 3 teams could, and if Linus Ullmark gets hot, the Sens could upset, Toronto and then beat up Lightning or Panthers team in the second round.
Yeah. I was saying for the West that if the Stars and the Avs do face off against each other, whichever team comes out of that is winning the cup, because not only have they just gone through the most brutal matchup of the series of the whole tournament, they're going to have some serious momentum behind them. Like, holy shit, we overcame this. We're going to go all the way. I feel the same way about whoever comes out of that Lightning Panthers series.
If that's the series, though, Joe, we still have 2 weeks to figure that out.
That's true. I like this, that it's coming down to the wire, because it means, you're not going to see too many teams resting their big guns because they are jockeying for that home ice position.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the Avs.
Yeah, who you got in the Pacific?
Oh, for the conference final?
Yeah. Because you have whoever wins Dallas, Colorado, which I completely agree with. Like that team is probably going all the way.
I say Stars Kings.
I think Kings have it to take down Edmonton and Vegas.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think they can do it.
I've never been a big believer in the Kings for the playoffs, but you see that Byfield deflection goal? Was it last night, 2 nights ago?
Yes.
Just insane. Insane.
Dude, that was, for those that didn't see it, Byfield was getting manhandled by Shane Wright. He turns around, uses his stick to bat the puck down into the blue paint, and then whacks the puck into the net past what's his name? Joey Decord. Just incredible upper body strength and physical just coordination. Flyers could use a guy like him.
Yeah, and he wasn't on the trade block at one point, but like he was, in rumors of potentially being available, and he signed that contract. And the Kraken won that game, which was good for the Flyers to keep them in 4th or 5th best for Tankathon.
5th. Terrible for my fantasy team because my opponent has Decord.
Yeah. Have we talked enough? Have we do we have to talk about the Flyers now?
How many games have they played since we last spoke? One?
They played one. They played the one game in Montreal. And I have something I'm upset about from that game, Joe. I have something I am very upset about, and it is very out of character for my hockey philosophy.
Okay, tell me.
What was one of the biggest things that happened in that game? Early on, was a 4-minute power play. Matt Van Michkov got whacked in the face. His nose is still worse for wear from it. Mm-hmm. And the Canadian, there was no retaliation. Sure, they tried to go after Hudson. They tried to make some big hits here and there, but there was no clear retaliation. You're out of the playoffs. You have Nick Delorier. You have Hathaway. You have Sealer. You have to do something. Maybe they don't want to fight Delorier. Maybe they don't want to let the crowd get going because they're up 1-0 and the Habs, are pushing towards the playoffs. But you want defensemen to have to think twice when they're trying to lift Michkov's stick. You got to be like, all right, get it. If you're going to get the stick, get the stick. If you're not going to get the stick and you're going to get him in the face, we're going to get you. Like, I feel like that's something that the Flyers did. I was expecting to see a fight. I didn't see one, and it was very disappointing.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Nick Delorier going around challenging teams to fights is like kind of loser energy too. Like, I know the ice cream truck's outside.
I hear it. I was like, wait, is that outside here? Outside there?
It's me.
It's 46 degrees outside. Go home. Go home, ice cream man.
I know, he's parked on my corner. Sorry, everybody. I hope that song seeps into your dreams and haunts you the way it haunts me. But no, if Nick Delorier is going around trying to start fights because the Flyers are losing, that's kind of loser energy. Like, yeah, we can't score goals.
It's not because the Flyers are losing. It's because they took liberties, whether they were trying to or not, with your star player, who was shown videos of you fighting on his whatever limo ride from the airport to the Flyers facility. Like, I don't want you to like two-hand someone like in the face, but like do something, like line somebody up. Once they tie it up, maybe go for a fight. I don't know. I just expected different from this Flyers, just based on what the Flyers are as a concept.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they tried, and the Habs were just laughing at them, like, no way, we're gonna beat your ass.
Then once you go down 2-1, you're taking a run at somebody. And I'm not saying, injure somebody, but I'm saying like, especially the guy that did it, I think it was Carrier, give him a few extra hits after the whistle. Like, make sure these defensemen that are going to your star player are going to think half a second about, making these, egregious physical plays.
Maybe someone will high stick Demidov the next time.
They should. Absolutely should. But we were just talking about Vegas too, and I feel like that's a good kind of transition to the Flyers, because Vegas, we've talked about, they had no reputation. They came into the league, they're cutthroat, they're a cutthroat organization. They're known for that. There's no pressure of any sort of history. But I was thinking recently, so the Flyers missed the playoffs now, of course, this season, 5 seasons in a row, not making the playoffs. It's tied for the longest drought in franchise history. So I feel like there is undue pressure on Briere and Jones in the front office to make the playoffs again next year, because as soon as they're eliminated next year, there's going to be the columns. Oh, the Flyers longest playoff drought in history. Is
Right.
Briere the right guy? Are they taking the right steps? I feel like there's going to be that outside pressure, and there's already that outside pressure of, we're the Flyers. This is the way we do things. We want to be a winning organization. So I feel like, the Flyers' history is kind of hindering them and has hindered them in the past, 50 years now. They haven't won a cup, but especially in the past, since the salary cap was implemented, pretty much, because they made the Stanley Cup final in 2010. They made a few conference finals, I'm pretty sure, but haven't had any sustained success. And I feel like that's something where Briere said this is a new phase of the rebuild with Tortorella gone, and it absolutely is. But I feel like they might need to do more this offseason rather than next offseason, just to try to get in the playoffs, or just have a league average goaltending or power play, and you're probably in the playoffs.
Yeah. I'm not too worried about that pressure because they have the internal mandate to just see this through. I know it's the longest playoff drought, but you have to consider that, let's see, 2021, 21, 22, 22, 23. 3 of those years were the Chuck Fletcher era where they were trying to be good, and they completely
it doesn't matter for the columnists that come out of the woodwork twice a year to write about the Flyers, Joe.
Well, who cares about them? But those 3 years, that wasn't a rebuild. That was a retool, a colossally mismanaged and failed one. And then you have Briere come in for the 23-24 season. He's only missed the playoffs twice. And they're probably going to miss him again next year. I think Flyers fans just have to accept, look, this is a new management philosophy that's only been here for 2 or 3 years. I know you're going to say, well, these punk journalists are going to say, well, this isn't the way we do things. And it's like, well, guess what? The way the Flyers did things doesn't work in the modern NHL. It just flat out doesn't. And this is a sign of an organization finally catching up to the rest of the league.
You expect fans to be rational and logical, Joe, and that's where you mess up there. No one cares about how many shitty regimes have been before this, whether it's Fletcher, whether it's Hextall, whether it's Homer, whoever it is. It's like, all right, it's Briere. It's still a former Flyer. Why aren't they making the playoffs? Why aren't they taking this next step? And I guess that brings me to the question of, what do you think phase 2 of this rebuild looks like? How long is it going to be? Is the next phase like, okay, making the playoffs, being a playoff contender, and then taking that next step once you finally get that superstar here, or once Michkov is a superstar even more than he is already? Or is it, is this just going to be a quick turnaround where they do go for the playoffs next year?
No, I can't see them. If they incidentally make it into the playoffs next season, great, but I cannot see them signing free agents and making ill-advised trades to push for a playoff berth. The team that comes to mind, and we've already talked about them, the Montreal Canadiens might be closer to what the Flyers are able to pull off. They have been so bad for so long, and then they finally, just this season, it looks like they got it together. It clicked for all of them. The coaching came together. The structure came together. And their biggest offseason addition, Patrick Laine. He was their biggest add this year, and he missed half the season because he was injured. Flyers aren't there to add an $8.8 million one-trick winger. So I don't think they do anything like that yet. Maybe in the next year or two, maybe the next offseason or 2 off seasons from now. But yeah, I think we've talked about it. I think next year is another let it ride. If they can make a trade that makes sense for the long term as well as the short term, they will do it.
I agree that they shouldn't like try to go in this offseason, especially with who's available. There's not players available that really fit their timeline, fit what you want to do. You don't want to be overpaying these guys. So I do agree that next offseason, when McDavid is potentially a free agent, Eichel, that's the time to make the move. But I guess then, like, what is your top offseason priority then? Because I feel like the Flyers, since Briere came in, he's torn it down a little bit. He's traded away pieces here or there. He traded away this season Farabee, a middle six winger there, Frost, a middle six center, Lawton, a bottom six center, bottom six winger. So and they don't have a backup goalie. They don't really have a starting goalie. Like, I kind of feel like they're going to try to plug those holes with either, underperforming young players from other teams, like a Strome type, or
Ryan Poehling.
Ryan Poehling's been great in his role,
He's been great.
Or like, just sign these veterans to like 2-3 year deals, get them through.
Yeah.
Like sign like a middle six center to, give some sort of stability. You have Couturier, you have Cates, you have Luchenko, and you have whatever center you bring in, whether it's a free agent, whether it's a Rossi, what have you. And then on defense, I feel like they're kind of fine, but if they trade Risto, maybe sign a veteran to replace him. But the big question is really in goal. Like, you can't run this team in the back. It's just not fair to the skaters in front of them. So it's signing like a Jake Allen or an Alex Lyon, or if they want to go bigger and making a trade for somebody. I know John Gibson was not even linked to the Flyers, but Friedman brought him up, but his contract I think is ridiculous. But someone, some sort of veteran goalie like that with like 2 years on their deal left to bring in and split with Harrison. Like, what would you like to see happen this offseason?
Some stability in net, I think, would be important. Maybe, who knows? Maybe Sam Ersson has been playing through an injury because he was injured to begin the year. And if that's the case, maybe they're banking on him getting healthy in the offseason and starting out better. Also, his coach said he's not a starting goaltender like less than a month ago. So that can't be too good for your mental as you're playing out the string here. Fedotov, I mean, I don't really care what they do with them. If they want to keep him as the third man so that he can make his money, fine. If they're like, look, we're going to waive you to Lehigh Valley, do you want to just mutually terminate this contract and go back to Russia? That's an option. Kolosov has been, I don't know
what's going on with. Why did they call him up?
Torts made him do it. Torts was like, I'm never playing Ivan Fedotov again.
But if you were that close to firing him, where it took him crossing the line one more time, 48 hours later, like, why do you give in to him to do that? And then at the very least, give him a start rather than Fedotov. Like, Fedotov got the start against Nashville. Nashville was.
Shaw said that Kolosov is going to get at least a game down the stretch. I don't remember how many, but he said Kolosov is going to get a game.
Yeah, they have one back-to-back, I think, so he'll probably get in on that.
Sure. Let's see. And I frankly don't mind if they keep him up all of next season either. I suppose he's better served in the AHL, but I don't know if he's going to throw a tantrum about it again. Just, I would say cut bait. Like, I don't care. He's clearly not an NHL caliber goalie right now. By the time he might be, Zvragin, Bjarnason, they're going to be here. Maybe the Flyers sign a backup who can do it better anyway. It just, I'm over it.
I'm looking at it now, and I don't hate the idea of John Gibson, especially like if you can use Kolosov as a trade piece there. He has 2 years left on this deal after this one, $6.4 million, which doesn't really matter that much given the Flyers cap space and how many entry-level deals they'll have on their books. This year, 28 starts, 911 save percentage. He clearly wasn't working as a starter the past 2 years, 888, 899, but I feel like he could, be a 900 goalie. That's all we need, and give some sort of stability. He's the 1A. Erisson's the 1B. That's something you can trust in net. I mean, they're both. I mean, Gibson might be injury prone at this point, and Erisson has his groin issues. And then you have Kolosov in the AHL or Fedotov in the AHL with Bjarnason. I'm not fully opposed to Gibson. I feel like somebody whose contract expires in 2027, whether it's a goalie, whether it's a center, I feel like those are the type of players the Flyers should be targeting right now because the cap is going up and they don't really need cap room until 2027.
Gibson won't be cheap. That's the problem. Like, he's not a cheap option here.
Do you mean to trade for?
Yes, I'm not investing the assets it would take to bring him back.
I feel like Anaheim would be happy to get rid of his salary. They're a very low. They want to just be on the salary floor, and that's it.
Teams have talked to them about Gibson, and nobody was meeting the ask.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case where you have to give up like a first or maybe even a second, like no, it's not worth it. But if it's Kolosov and a third, like
oh god, no. And Zamula, throw Zamula in there.
Zamula's becoming my boy here. Zamula's been fantastic in the second half as a third pair guy. His underlying metrics are the best on the team.
Wow.
Since like I was looking it up before. Past 25 games or whatever, his expected goals for percentage is 60%. So he's really settled into his third pair role. But he could be a trade piece in the offseason too, because teams ask for him, at the deadline.
Yeah, and Paling.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think if you can just sign like a journeyman veteran to like a 2-year deal, I think that's the way you go. Like a Scott Wedgwood. I know
Jake Allen.
Sure, whatever. But
Alex Lyon, I'd love to bring Alex Lyon back.
Bring him home. He's injury prone too, though, isn't he?
I mean, like, I don't know if it's. I don't know. Dan Vladar has been out there. He worked with Dustin Wolf this year.
Vladar, Darth Vladar,
Rittich, big save day. I mean, Anton Forsberg. Yeah, but goaltending is always going to be the big thing in Philadelphia. It just always will. It just will.
We might just have to cope with it for one more year. That's the thing. We might just have to put up with this for another year.
And then what?
Well, then Bjarnason would hopefully be ready to at least be in the NHL, and then Zavragin can come over and.
Zavragin can come over in a year or two, but I think he'll still be, unless he's Vasilevsky, he's going to give it a few more years to develop. And yeah, Bjarnason turning pro next year. I feel like he'll need more than one AHL season, but I mean, if he looks good next year, they can maybe have him be the tandem with Erisson. Erisson is an RFA in 2027. He's 25. Goaltenders do develop later than skaters, so I still feel like he has the ceiling of a 1A as long as he has a decent team in front of him,
and he's healthy.
But he should be a 1B. I feel like.
I think I'm with you there. I'm not giving up on the ceiling of a 1A because we've talked about like Logan Thompson, Joey Decord, these guys who hit at age 27, 28, they clearly define themselves as a 1A. You can tell by like age 24, 25 that a guy is not going to be a workhorse 65 game starter. But you might not get that 1A certitude until they're like 27, 28. So for now, I'm thinking he's a 1B, and it's mostly just the injuries. If he's going to be injured so much, like if he gives you 30 to 35 games a season, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, 30, 35, give whoever else, the veteran they bring in, like the other 40, 45, and 5 to 10 to whatever third string they have because of injury is fine by me.
Yeah. I mean, there could also just be trades cooking in the Flyers front office that we won't see coming.
Absolutely. Especially with someone like Ristolainen, like someone that was injured at the deadline, is still injured, and teams might just be waiting for the offseason to make sure he's healthy, to make sure they have the cap space. They didn't want to trade a roster player during a playoff run, something like that. Like, I feel like Briere definitely has laid the groundwork for at least a few trades here or there.
Yeah. As long as they make sense. That's it. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, Briere has made it clear he's not gonna go out and overpay for anybody or kind of overreact or panic buy, despite the economy, whatever is happening out there.
Oh man.
But I feel like the big thing is just doing something this offseason. Because what did the Flyers do last offseason? They brought Michkov over. That was it. What else did they add anybody? No, right?
Would you count Fedotov? I know he came over at the end of last year, but it was so late. No,
I wouldn't. No, they didn't make one free agent sign.
Not
one.
I mean, they re-signed Paling, I guess.
Well, yeah, they re-signed, but they didn't add anyone from outside the organization. Michkov was drafted. Fedotov, they had the rights to. They didn't add anybody.
Rodrigo Abel, dude. How could you forget Rodrigo Abel?
My boy Rodrigo. How could I forget?
Tony Richard.
Carson Dorwart looked pretty good in his one game. He looked fast out there. He looked fine.
He was fine. fine. I wasn't like blown away, but for your first NHL game, he looked all right.
Yeah. He didn't look at a place.
Look, whenever you say he's got to do something, I just think sign JVR to a $7 million.
He doesn't have to. No, sign a middle six center to a 2-year deal. Sign a backup goalie to a 2-year deal.
We have 4 middle six centers. Why do you need another one?
Because sign or trade, make some sort of trade for a top 6 center. Because the Flyers have too many wings. They have too many wings right now. And they have a lot of veterans that I feel like they could potentially deal. Looking at their cap wages page, they have Tippett, Konechny, Hathaway, Delorier, Brink, Michkov, Forster, Pelletier. That's already 8 wings. You only have room for 8 on the roster, right? Two per line. And then you have guys that are going to be ready to come up soon. Well, I guess this is when we can kind of bring in the Lixell news. Loan back to the Phantoms, cleared waivers today, which is fine. He's a Group 6 UFA at the during the summer. If he wants to come back as an AHL guy, great. If not, best wishes elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm not losing sleep over this. I saw people like, whoa, we never got to see you fair shake because Garnet Hathaway was blocking. I'm like, Garnet Hathaway, first of all, is a good fourth liner. Like, he's a really good fourth liner. Saying that he's blocking the young guys is not what you think it's saying. He's good in his role. Nick Delorier, I can understand that. But if you can't beat out Nick Delorier for a roster spot, maybe you don't belong in the NHL. He's turning 26 in August. The Flyers, for all of the comments I see online, people are like, oh, the Flyers only draft bottom 6 talent. They're never going to make it on these hard work two-way guys that can only play on the 3rd and 4th line. And they've got 6 of them coming into the pros in the next year or two. And you're like, well, no, we need to keep Ole Lixell so he can play that same role and be 8 years older than them. I don't get it. Just happy trails, Ole. If you sign for a 2-way contract so you can play with the Phantoms but get paid better, great. If not, happy trails. Good luck.
Absolutely how I feel. Yeah, I feel like them sending him back down was probably doing a favor to him. Like, go back down, play out this year with the Phantoms. They're making a playoff run. Go play with Jet Luchenko and Grabenkin, and see what you can do. Maybe you'll like it and come back and be one of the veteran guys to help out all these young guys turning pro, because they have Barkey coming up, they have Bonk, they have Bjarnason, they have Kolkanubel, have a bunch of these other guys. Yeah, if he can be one of like the older veterans that has gone through it before.
And he's at the AHL level.
At the AHL level. Yeah. At the AHL level, yeah. And he's a point per game player in the AHL. He was an all-star this year. But he just doesn't have the consistency to do it at the NHL level. He has 1 goal and 10 assists in 45 NHL games. So probably all those games are in the bottom 6, but you have 45 games, you have 1 goal. It's not just bad luck. It's
not going to cut it.
No.
Yeah.
But I mentioned Grabenkin there, and he's the 9th winger there. And I feel like he's someone that should have an inside shot at a lineup spot next year.
Okay.
So that's why I'm thinking the Flyers might be looking to trade some of these veterans. I don't know if they would trade Hathaway. He signed an extension last summer, I believe. He seems to be one of the veteran guys. I don't know if a team would want Delorier. So then I'm looking at like
Brink.
if they do go out and get Marco Rossi, or they do go out and try to get a Tage Thompson or an Elias Pettersson, like, are you trading Tippett? Are you trading Brink? They've made it clear they don't want to trade Forster, but if a true 1C becomes available, I feel like everyone's on the table except Michkov. Like, so that's who I'm thinking about for forwards, and then for defense. Like, I feel like Nick Seeler is kind of just there, and maybe he's okay to be there for another year until McDonald's ready or until Bonk's ready. Kind of same thing with Samula. He's just there as a third line guy, third pair guy, but there's just a lot of pieces that are like, we know what you are now. We like you, but it might be time to go and bring in some new blood for that spot.
Right, and not just new blood from outside, but to promote the guys who need to get NHL minutes.
Yeah.
No, I think we should prepare ourselves for not any massive earth-shaking trades this offseason, but we should see some turnover. Just, I don't know if it's going to be for draft picks or prospects or other younger players in the same vein, but I think we'll see some turnover. Bobby Brink is the only winger in my mind that would be on the way out, and I know that breaks your heart.
You just say that to rile me up, Joe. You just want to have me get angry again.
Okay, they're not trading Tippett because he's looked a lot better.
They might trade Tippett. He has looked better. He has looked better under Shaw, but this could just be a Morgan Frost type thing where you're eliminated, you're feeling free, you're looking better, and maybe that's not sustainable. I do want to say I love how Pelletier has looked with Poehling and Tippett.
Oh, I forgot about
that. That's where he should have been the whole time. I think he has 5 points in 7 games since moving up to the third line. Like, that's what he can be. Like, that's a good piece to have.
Yeah. I mean, imagine a line that is Pelletier, Brink, and Barkey. All of them are 5'9" or something like that. Just be the Napoleon line.
And Briere would love it.
I'm sure he would.
And Briere had an interview with Pierre LeBrun of The Athletic last week, saying he's open to trading draft picks, which is what I've been trying to get out there, because fans are like, oh, you're just getting these draft picks, draft picks are gambles. What are you going to do if they don't pan out? Draft picks are currency. Draft picks are the one thing that all teams and all GMs have a base value of what they're worth. Like, there are charts out there for what a pick is worth. People know what to expect out of certain rounds. Like, they are currency. I would be shocked if the Flyers made all 7 picks in the coming draft, in the coming first 2 rounds. And having that is an option to go out and get somebody. Like, my dream is a Tage Thompson. Tage Thompson, Buffalo needs to fully reset. Go get Tage Thompson, give him a winger, give him a defenseman, and give him a pick. Like, have him a chance to reset, or just multiple picks for him. Like, or if it's not Thompson, Pettersson, Rossi, whatever. I feel like there are options there for Briere to maneuver a little bit.
I mean, sure, but
don't sound so enthusiastic, Joe.
I question how those teams would be able to part with those players. Like, the Canucks are a mess. I don't think they'd be stupid enough to trade Elias Pettersson. Okay. The Sabres are a mess. I don't think they'd be stupid enough to trade Tage Thompson when they just traded Dylan Cousins and see him flourishing in Ottawa. The Wild are stupid, and they recognize they aren't going to sign Rossi. All of the news reports are that they are on such different stratospheres of agreement on what his salary should be. They're going to have to trade him. But they're not stupid. They know he's good. They know he's going to have to be a high-value return.
The argument for Thompson is that he's going to be 28 in October. The Sabres aren't making the playoffs in the next few years. He is signed till 2031, and the Flyers need a center. Like, the Flyers need a center, especially with size. Like, he has 43 goals this year for the Sabres. He had 47 2 years ago for the Sabres. The Flyers haven't sniffed 40 goals since John LeClair the last 40 goal scorer? No. Simmons might have got there, Jeff Carter, I don't know, but they not recently. Like, I feel like that's someone at $7.1 million as well. Like, that would be a steal of a contract there, where even if he is a 2C, ultimately, I feel like that injects some sort of something into your team.
I'm open to it. I just worry about the acquisition costs. Like, it's going to be more than just a pick, a winger.
Briere should have a good relationship with Buffalo. He spent a lot of years there.
I know. Maybe they fire Kevin Adams in the offseason and the new GM is like, I got to make a move. And Briere's like, well, I got one for you.
Well, you don't want to hear that my real pie in the sky trade is for Thompson and one of their defensemen, whether it's not going to be Dahlin, it probably won't be Power, but like a Byram, a Samuelson, like someone like that to get that center, get a defenseman, trade out Risto to somebody else. Like that, I feel like there is a path where Briere can fix this, quote unquote, in one off season to get to the point where, okay, we're a competitive team next season. I don't think everything has to fall its way, and it's probably not going to happen, but there is a path.
I guess. I mean, I think we have seen reports. The Flyers love Matthias Samuelsson. He's from Pennsylvania, right? Like he's a local boy.
His sister works for the Flyers in PR. His dad played for the Flyers many years. So yeah, he'd love to come back.
So I
know I'm not realistic. I'm seeing in the chat. I'm not realistic. Joe is being much more realistic. I do have pipe dreams here, but you gotta be optimistic about something here. Joe, what is your like ideal off-season move?
I honestly very little. I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them just. Well, I don't want to see them run it back like completely. I just want to see. Look, if this is going to work, we need proof that the internal development systems they're trying to promote are going to succeed, right? If you try and speed this up, you might not get to see if that's going to work. I think we just have to give it another couple of years. And it occurred to me the other day, you look at the ages of the prospects on their way up and the players who are here now. We might have to get used to the idea that some of these guys are going to age out of this roster before the Flyers are competitive again. Let me pull up their.
I mean, the only guys over. I mean, Couturier 32, yeah. Tippett 26, Konechny 28, Cates 26, Hathaway's old, Paling 26, but Brink 23, Michkov 20, Forster 23, Pelletier 24. Like the defense, Sealer, Risto, Sanheim, all 29 or older, but Drysdale 23, York 24, Andre, who I haven't been too impressed with recently, is 23, but they have that good group of core of like 23 to 26.
Sure.
And then Michkov 20, Jet Luchenko going to be 19, and whoever else they get will be 18, 19.
Yeah. And a lot of them, if they make all these picks, I think this is going to take longer than people are prepared for, and I don't want to dive into something just because it's there. If they can get Rossi,
I completely agree. I don't want them to go out and give John Tavares a big contract or Mitch Marner a big contract, or like go out and overpay for
Tage Thompson.
For Tage Thompson, for anybody. Don't overpay. Yeah. Like I'm perfectly content with the plan of making minor moves this offseason, having another whatever year next season, using all. I'd be happy to use all 7 picks, get that prospect cupboard fucking bulging out, have the door open. You can't even close the door. There's so many prospects in there. I'd be very happy with that. But
I think you just described my ideal. That's my ideal season.
That's boring and that's not fun content. So that's why I'm trying to give these alternate ideas. Like I'm perfectly content with the Flyers using all 7 picks. Get that prospect cupboard just absolutely jammed. Yeah. And trust your scouts, see what you can develop. And then if you hit on 3 of those picks, fantastic. And then those other 4, maybe be bottom 6 guys, maybe be trade pieces in the future. Right. But it's tough for fans to be like, all right, next year is going to be nothing. And I feel like even if I'd be happy if they signed Jake Allen or Alex Lyon to pair with Harrison, signed some sort of veteran center to bring some stability if they trade out a veteran winger, and get a good power play coach.
Yeah, power play coach is big. Honestly, the biggest things I'm looking for are more internal rather than roster. I want to see a new power play coach.
Mm-hmm.
If Bradshaw is going to be the head coach, which you guys did a big thing on last Friday, I believe, or Sunday.
Sunday. What do you think?
Sunday.
I mean, you can go through this, but I do want to touch on the coach before we finish it out.
And Lehigh Valley needs a makeover. Yes. I cannot stress enough how much the Phantoms need a makeover, top to bottom. I don't watch enough Phantoms to say like they are terrible, and let's look at the facts. A lot of the players that played in the Phantoms have been successful at the NHL level. Emile Andre, Tyson Forrester, Cam York, all these guys came up under Briere and they've been successful. But Briere, his first crop of prospects is turning pro next year. And goddamn, I don't know if Ian LaPerriere is the guy to usher in this next new wave of orange. They gotta do something there.
He's not. That's it. That would be your ideal offseason, is bringing in a good developmental coach for the AHL, which will be probably the most impactful move they could make that fans wouldn't even realize.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is not an offseason that is gonna, in my mind, it is not an offseason that is gonna blow away your average Flyers fan, where it's like, oh, we made all these big moves, we made all these big transactions. It's gonna be stuff that happens not at the Wells Fargo Center, outside of the power play coach, I guess, and the other coach. But if they can just sign a reliable goaltender to maybe be in a 3-way tandem or something, fine. They are stocked at all roster positions right now. I don't think they need to bring anyone in unless they're getting a true top 6 center, and the acquisition price isn't too high. That's it. A average goalie, I don't care how old he is, as long as he's on like a 2-3 year contract max. If a deal presents itself for a top 6 center and it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg to get, you do it. But the biggest things I'm looking for are the Lehigh Valley staff turnover and the coach. As far as Bradshaw goes, I've warmed up to the idea. I've come around more on it the more I've seen him speak to the media. I'm still just not sold because he's so close to Torts. I don't know how the players are going to see him as a coach when he was Torts' assistant. Briere might want to just be like, we need a clean slate, fresh start. And I can accept that as long as it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'm going to try to get Maddie on here, hopefully before the playoffs for the Calder Cup, so she can give us some insight on the Phantoms. But yeah, everything you see, everything you read out of there, that they need some sort of change, and that I feel like is one of the top priorities that people aren't thinking about. And then as far as Shaw's concerned, like, yeah, I wouldn't mind him coming back, staying for a prove-it year or even 2 years until we get to that important offseason. But like, I was kind of talking myself into Jay Woodcroft a bit. We're not going to know who's going to be fired from these playoff teams. I don't know if there's other guys available that we haven't even thought about. Like, there's college coaches. College coaches, David Carl, like other AHL coaches, assistants around the league. Like, there's no one that I'm like, all right, I want this guy. Like, Shaw will be fine. Woodcroft, sure, whatever. And there's like very, very few coaches that I'm like, no, I don't want them. Like Tocchet, I don't want Tocchet. The former Blackhawks coach, I don't want him. But yeah, like there's nothing like it. This coaching search is just going to be, kind of whatever, because I'm assuming it's going to be, only for 2 or 3 years, this coach, unless they get like a Carl or a Woodcroft or, someone comes out of the woodwork that gets fired.
You said Blackhawks. You're not sold on Anders Sorensen? Or who was the guy he replaced? Not Kyle Davidson. That's the GM. Luke Richardson.
That guy, Jeremy Colleton, was that his name? He was there at one point as well.
Yeah.
He was there in like 2019 though. He was way back when.
And then I think it was Luke Richardson after that, maybe, but that's fine. One coach that I really like, I don't think he'd be leaving. Andre Tourigny, who is the head coach of the Utah Hockey Club, he has done pretty impressive work with them, but I don't think he'd be leaving.
Yeah, Utah's going to keep him. I thought you were going to say Andrew Burnett again. You're a big Andrew Burnett head.
I would love him as the offense coach, like the forward-focused assistant coach, but oh man, I do not want him as the head coach. He clearly, it looks like he cannot hack it as a head coach, but as an assistant, damn do his teams score on the rush. And guess what? That's what the Flyers are trying to institute. But yeah, I don't think there is anyone I would be banging my fist on the table to get.
No, the coaching search is, we'll discuss that more, once the season ends, once we hear more about that. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if the season ends and they're like, all right, Shaw's the guy. We're going to give him a chance for a year or two. I also wouldn't be shocked if the season ends and they're like, all right, we're going to do our due diligence. I just want the coach in place by like June. So, you have the coach go into the draft, go into free agency, and, you have the table set a bit.
I guess I wouldn't mind waiting until August if the coach firings don't happen until like July.
Yeah, but I feel like I guess it depends what they want to do. I feel like it's tough to sign any free agent, be like, oh, we don't know who the coach is, but you want to come play for us. Like, I feel like that's a tough thing.
But they're not going to be signing any free agents, so it doesn't matter.
If they do. I know you have plan. I know you. I don't know, some middle six guy, some plug. I don't know if I don't fucking know.
Then there's a million of those guys.
Yeah,
there's a million of those guys. Like, oh, it's not like they're gonna have their heart set on one dude, and he's like, "Well, I'm not gonna sign with you because we don't know who the coach is." Like, just.
No, but I feel like it's very rare. I feel like it's very rare for teams to go without a coach, even into the draft. Like, I don't know if that's really ever happened, especially recently. I know you have plans tonight. You got a little more time to answer this question in the chat, because I feel like it's a good one for you.
Yeah, and then we can talk about the games.
Upcoming games. And we're closing out.
Yeah, I got like 20 minutes.
Yeah. So a question from John here in the chat. Honest question: what gives you the confidence that the scouting department and development team that has been in place for 5 to 6 years, include the goalie coach, who have they drafted and developed into anything? I feel like you wrote something on this in recent months for broadstreethockey.com. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. I don't know if I ever published it, but are we talking from 2019? So like the Fletcher era and not Bobby Flair. What's his name?
Brent Flair.
Brent Flair.
We can talk about that, but I mean, my first counterpoint to John is like, when I talk about development in front office, I'm just looking at once Briere took over. But I know there are scouts in place from before that. But yeah, we can talk about since Flair joined the staff.
So I'm going to go back to the 2019 draft, and we'll work from there. Last year, ahead of the draft, The Athletic was interviewing scouts, and basically they said, if you get 2 NHL players out of any given draft, you are celebrating. Doesn't matter what level, whether they're a top 6, bottom 6, or a roster defenseman, if they can play in the NHL and have a career, you're celebrating if you got 2 of them in a single draft. 2019, Cam York and Bobby Brink right at the top. Those guys are, I would say, clear NHLers. Yeah.
Ronnie Adder too. Ronnie Adder played some NHL games and was. Okay.
I don't know if he's an NHL.
He's not an NHLer.
No. 2020, Typho, absolutely. Emile Andre, I still think so.
I still think
he's an NHLer. Yeah. And then Elliot Desnoyers had a shot and then just never really came around.
That's going against your argument, Joe, if you bring up Elliot Desnoyers.
Yeah, I know. That's a bummer. But he was a 5th round pick, so like
it's a lottery ticket there.
2021 drafts. That one's real bad.
2021 draft was fucked because they traded the 1st round pick for Risto. I mean, Tuamala, I feel like is a guy that they're going to end up trading, and he might become a guy somewhere else. But Kolosov might be an NHLer.
Owen McLaughlin might be a center at the NHL level. He's not bad, but that draft is pretty bad, and I can chalk that one up to COVID as well. I think.
Yeah, those are tough drafts to even evaluate given the development around then.
2022. You're all gonna hate this. Cutter Gauthier looks like a legit NHL player. He's looked real good lately, which is really quite frustrating and annoying. But
yeah,
he's looked pretty good. Alex Bump, he might actually be a guy. We'll see.
He could be a guy.
I'm also a fan of Devin Kaplan and Alexis Jean-Jean. I don't think either of them are NHLers. And then Hunter McDonald, front office is real high on him. That's the Fletcher years. Let's do 2023. Matvei Michkov. Period. Oliver Bong looks like he's going to be real good. Carson Bjarnason was the highest rated American goaltending prospect going into that draft. Yegor Zavragin looks like he might be a steal. Denver Barkey looks like a steal. Cole Knuble, he was an overager, and yes, that's a bit of a nepo pick, but there's still a potential that is an NHL player. Alex Chiernik, I'm really high on him, but I know he's probably going to be a nothing burger. And then 2024, Jet Luchenko is a clear NHL player. Like, we've already seen it. We know it. Ilya Pautov, he hasn't flashed this year, but I really like him. And Heikki Ruohonen is someone I'm keeping an eye on. Look, some people have it in their head that if you're not in the NHL by age 20, you're never going to be in the NHL. And I'm like, whoa, let's hold up there for a minute. But I think there is 2 NHL players in each of these drafts, except for 2021, and maybe 2022. If you swap Gauthier for Drysdale, it balances out.
Yeah. I mean, there is some bias there because 2023 they had 2 first-round picks, and that's Michkov and Bonk, but yeah, I mean, going back to 2018 even like Farabee, first-round pick, he's an NHLer. Sam Harrison was a 5th-round pick in that draft. He's an NHLer. 2019, York and Brink both look like great pieces. Like, yeah, and like we've seen these players develop with the Flyers, whether it be in the AHL before coming up, or in the NHL under Tortorella, which I think a lot of these young guys, including Brink, like he doesn't know the NHL without John Tortorella. Like, he played, I think, 10 games his first season, and then played 10 games with 21-22, went back to the AHL for a full year, and like since then he's been with Torts, and like that's it. Like, yeah. There are these guys that you don't necessarily have to trust the scouting department. I understand if you don't, given the Flyers' track record and everything, given how the Hextall era went with all those guys, busting out a little bit. But this front office does seem to be doing it the right way, getting those draft picks, 7 in the top 50, 55 picks, whatever you want to look at, upcoming season. Michkov, Luchenko looks like a great pick. We all hated at the time. Like, I feel like
we'll see. I like Jet Luchenko. I would have taken Bouillon, but that's if that's what people are worried about, I can understand that point of view. But Luchenko is a good prospect who has the potential to be a very good NHL player. So that's for that. You look at the current roster, and a lot of the players that we get excited about were drafted and developed by the Flyers. Noah Cates, what a steal for a 5th rounder. You kidding me? Bobby Brink, a lot of time with the Phantoms, took some time getting to the NHL, and now he looks like a player. Typho's another example. On defense, Emile Andre and Cam York, and Zamula too, technically. And hell, even Nick Seeler, he was signed as a tweener, wasn't he? And then they just called him up, and he was going to
retire. He was going to retire. And now he's gotten this extension.
So
they've helped develop Tippett too. I mean, Tippett was kind of just like the guy they were forced upon them in the Giroux trade for Fletcher, but like they've developed him into at least a 2nd-line winner.
Yeah, you're not getting those top line number 1 star players, but you're getting really good NHLers. They are. The terminology would be impact NHLers. These are impact players that are not. They're not Jags. They're not just a guys filling a roster spot so that you can ice a full roster. They have positive impact on the team on the ice. So I guess if you look at it from a perspective of if they're not developing stars, then you have an issue, because that's not what happens. You get lucky, and maybe you find Braden Point in the 3rd round, but that's not the norm. That you just get lucky sometimes. No, maybe I am wearing my orange-colored glasses a bit, but I think
that's fine to do. Yeah, that's fine to be more on the optimistic side, or more, giving them given the benefit of the doubt at the very least. Like, they haven't really done much to make you think, oh wow, they messed that up a lot. Like, you haven't seen that yet.
What worried me the most was that so many players seemed to plateau, and then they just never improved. That hasn't been happening for the past 2 or maybe even 2.5. Like, especially under Torts' tenure, that plateau effect has gone away. I've seen players hit that plateau and then they find another gear and move up a bit. Yeah. This year was a letdown. I thought Tyson Forrester would take another step forward, but if it was that bad in the room with Torts, I guess that's just what we had to deal with. Maybe next year.
Yeah, and Forster and Brink are still both 23. I think, NHL forwards hit their peak between 24 to 28, with a peak at 27, 28. So they could very well take... Exactly. Konechny has taken a huge step forward these past 3 years. So I feel like there are enough examples you can point to, or be like, all right, I trust these guys enough. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah. So,
anything more on that?
Crossed. Yeah. It's a crapshoot. And we won't know if these were good picks truly for another 5 years.
Yeah, so. In hindsight bias, you can always go to that, be like, oh, the Flyers should have taken whoever over Patrick, or should have taken whoever over whoever. Like you can go back and be like, oh, why didn't the Flyers take this guy? Well, why didn't so many other teams take this guy too? Like, he wasn't ranked there. That's why I'm not too pressed about where the Flyers finish in the standings. I feel like they're going to get the player they want to get. Whether it takes trading up a spot, trading back a spot, I feel like they have enough, especially in that top tier of guys. There's like 5 or 6 guys that I feel like they're going to be confident in getting.
Yeah. My last point for this is, it used to be, especially under Hextall and Hackstall, that these young players did not get their fair shake of ice time at the NHL level. That has gone away since Torts showed up, except for Pelletier, and that was part of what got him fired. So, they really shifted and were like, we're going to give you the minutes, sink or swim, figure it out. And for the most part, I think a lot of the players did. The ones that didn't, remember, Cam York got sent back to the minors to start one of those seasons, played his way back into the lineup. So, yeah.
And I think it's also...
They're giving the ice time.
That's also telling that, people can say they waited too long to trade Frost, waited too long to trade Farabee, but they traded them. They identified that they weren't going to be a part of the future, and they've been what we thought they were in Calgary, if not worse.
All right. Do we want to do a tankathon before we do the game predictions? Or
sure. Let me get this on the screen. Share the screen. Tankathon.
We have 3 games this week too. Can you believe it?
Yeah, 3 games up. I mean, yeah.
All right. Let me predict. I think Pittsburgh is going to win first overall, and Anaheim is going to jump to 2.
All right. The Flyers are in 5th. 5th best. Boston 4. Pittsburgh 6. You got Anaheim at 9. All right. Let's sim it up here. Got San Jose and Seattle moving up, which would move the Flyers down 1 spot to 6, which I feel like that's fine there. I wouldn't hate Seattle, winning a lottery. Like, sure, go ahead.
They got Matty Beniers at the top.
Yeah, they got Beniers. They got Shane Wright. Like, they got guys there.
Shane, I'm a bust, right? I don't think he's a bust. He's not a bust.
No, he's not a bust. He just needs time.
He just needs some time. Hey, familiar story, Flyers fans. Sometimes the prospects need time.
Yes.
Be patient. This is going to take a while. All right. First game on the docket.
Upcoming games here. We got Wednesday night at Madison Square Garden. I will be in the building at the train station, going to this game with a old college buddy, Rangers fan. So should be a good time there. And I'm expecting a win. I really am. The Rangers have not been living up to any sort of expectations this season. I think they lost 4-1, 5-1 to the Lightning on Monday. I feel like Michkov goes in there, gets 2 goals. I feel like a Flyers 5-2 win.
They blanked the Devils too, or the Devils blanked them.
Yes,
sorry.
Yes.
I don't know. I feel like they're going to start Jonathan Quick, and he might just go ham against the Flyers. And I think it's going to be
possible.
A 3-1 Rangers win.
I'll be fine as long as I see a goal. I just want 1 goal. That's all I ask for.
Michigan.
The Michigan, yes.
The Michigan.
All right. We have Saturday, the penultimate home game, 12:30 start against the New York Islanders.
Nice.
Islanders are a team that's just always plays tough no matter what. They haven't been eliminated yet. Patrick Waugh will have those guys ready to go. So I'm seeing like an ugly, boring 3-2 Islanders win.
That many goals?
I know. It's a high-scoring game for the Islanders.
Wow. I mean, they did put 4 on the Caps the other day. I'm a lot less enthusiastic. 2-1 overtime loss.
Yeah, that's probably more likely there. And then the Flyers are at Ottawa on Sunday. The back-to-back there. Oh, they're going to get smoked. What do you think, Joe?
Absolutely thumped. Just walloped. Drew's going to just have his way, especially in the face-off circle. I'm looking like 5-0. I think it's going to be real bad.
Yeah, I was going to say that's going to be a shutout. Ottawa just shut out Columbus 4-0, shut out Florida 3-0.
Dude, rip Columbus.
I think 5-0, 4-0 is a pretty good prediction there for the Ottawa game.
Yeah, rip
especially because the Flyers are so bad on back-to-backs. But yeah, rip Columbus. They were a good story for most of the season.
Fun while it lasted. Maybe next year. Hey, there's another team that took a step.
Yeah.
Right. Any closing thoughts?
No. Where can the people find you?
You can find me at jfdemarini.bsky.social. Where can they find you, Gilbs?
Yeah, you can follow me on Blue Sky as well at ryangilbert.bsky.social. Of course, make sure you subscribe to the Broad Street Hockey YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Broad Street Hockey podcast feed on Apple and Spotify. Tell a friend. Appreciate all the support. And until next time, thanks for listening.
Go Flyers.